Welcome to the Rough Characters podcast. I'm your host, Philip Overby.
And I'm John Palladino.
And today we're going to be talking about monsters, favorite monsters that exist in tabletop games. So if you're listening and you have any your favorite monsters, please tell us about them because we want to hear about all sorts of creatures and nasty things. But before we get into that, John is going to tell us some news.
Yeah, so it's a little outdated, but I missed it myself. And it was last month. Well, I guess when this comes out, it'll be a couple months ago. But in November, there was a game that came out on the Nintendo Switch, and it was a remake of an old game. I forgot to probably mention in one of our older podcasts, and that is the remake of Front Mission. Have you heard of Front Mission, Phil?
Yes, I played the original one when it came out. I guess on PlayStation 1. I think that's
I think that it was maybe it was the first one or the second one that came out on the PlayStation. Maybe they both did. I don't know because I only ever played the third and fourth one on PlayStation 2 and or maybe it was 3. I can't remember. Uh, but the first two, one of my friends had on their computer as like these mods that they had or whatever. So when I used to go over to his house, I'd play those games there. And so I never actually really played the first two all that much. So I'm pretty excited about this new release. I'm not going to get into it yet until I beat Tactics Ogre, which I'm almost done with. But when I saw Front Mission, I was like, crap. I never brought that up as one of my kind of favorite strategy RPGs when we talked about various things in the past. And so I wanted to bring it up now and see what you thought about that franchise, because I always loved that game personally, especially the first couple. I remember Front Mission 4, I think it was, came out on PlayStation 3. And I really didn't like that game, but I really liked the early ones.
I don't remember um, which one I played specifically, but I do like that the idea of fighting with mechs and like tactical combat, and you can. I was really into BattleTech when it first, well, maybe not first came out, but one of the editions of BattleTech when I was a kid. I really wanted people to play BattleTech with me. I was like, I got BattleTech. Like, somebody play BattleTech with me. They're like, what is BattleTech? Because everybody played D&D. But even as a kid, I was one of those people that always wanted to try some new system or some new thing that nobody else in my group was doing. So, um, yeah, I just like the idea of like your mechs get damaged and you lose like certain abilities and that kind of stuff. So, and I liked in Front Mission how like if your mech got really fucked up, you could like eject and then you could jump into another person's mech. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, the customization was always really fun in Front Mission, how you could like get different guns for the different mechs. And I think my least favorite part about number 4 was like, first of all, it was a lot harder, I felt like. And you only got, I think there was like 2 different storylines, and in each story, I think you got like a total of 5 people. And I just thought that it really felt limiting, I guess, but I don't think you got like a ton more people on your team in the other ones. But for some reason, number 4 just felt super like just empty. I don't know. There was something about it that just never clicked with me.
Yeah,
And the storyline was pretty boring.
I've always liked mechs and stuff like that. So even in my own writing, I have mech stuff sometimes. So I'm interested in that kind of genre, and I think I think just recently they announced what's it called? It was a mech game where you were actually in the mech. Uh, uh, iron Iron Core or Armored Core or something like that.
Oh, I
Um,
think it might be Armored Core 6, was it? I don't know. I truthfully don't play mecha games aside from Front Mission, and it's not because I don't like them. It's just a lot of the time they're just not my like genre of game as much. Uh,
yeah,
but Front Mission was a strategy RPG, which, that really always resonated with me.
I don't typically play those kind of games, but I'm kind of fascinated by them. Like you're actually in the mech and you can do different things, and um,
Yeah.
playing them I suck at. I just suck. I suck at like shooter games in general. I like playing them occasionally, but I'm just not good at any of them. So I tend to stick to RPGs because that's what I'm good at. Or
I'm good at shooters. I don't know. There's something about the mech ones that, at least the ones I've tried anyway, that I never really clicked with, I guess. I don't know what it was about them, but I don't know. I just never, and I don't think I've played Armored Core.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I ever played it, uh, but I remember seeing like footage and stuff from it and thought it looked cool. Um, but today we're going to be talking about monsters, which are not mechanical. That's my segue. So let's get
you
into.
might be surprised with my monsters.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind then. So I'm going to start off. Some of my choices are pretty basic, just because those are just what I remember. And I'm going to start off with goblins, just because goblins are like a classic tabletop, uh, lower
It's,
level.
yes, it's a staple. It's like
Yeah,
in low level Dungeons and Dragons, you either fight goblins, kobolds, or some random animal.
you pronounce that kobold?
That's what I always call them, kobolds.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I always
How do you
called it.
say it?
I always called it kobold.
I don't know, man. I've heard both pronunciations, and I don't know which one's correct. But also, a funny thing about pronunciations, I was thinking about this earlier when I was looking through the monster manuals of some various books and game systems, and I I've noticed it seems like most of the time no one hears these names pronounced out loud, just ever. And so
Yeah.
whatever your group decides to call the thing is kind of what you what you call it, and then you meet up with someone who either knows the correct pronunciation or their group just pronounces it a whole different way, and you're like, that's weird.
So today we're gonna fight some goblins. Goblin.
Yes,
So goblin.
Goblin.
Um, I just like goblins because they're kind of shitty. Not just shitty like to fight, but just their overall vibe in most D&D is just like, we're gonna we're gonna kill you. Just very classic kind of monster, I guess. And in my own writing, I like to include goblins that are more like humanized, I guess, or they're not just like evil creatures that try to kill people. They're actually like part of the societies and stuff. So I think D&D's kind of done stuff with that where, you know, used to be you would never be able to play a goblin, but these days, plenty of people play goblins or whatever. I mean, you can pretty much play whatever you want these days, but when it first came out, you were pretty limited. I think when I played second edition, it was basically elf, half elf, dwarf, human, uh, uh, halfling, gnome. That was it.
Yeah.
So But these days you can be a whatever the fuck. I'm a half dragon born Asarian goat lord or whatever. Like what? um, so that's my number one, or not my number one pick. I haven't ranked these. These are just five I like. So goblins. That's my first
Right.
pick.
Uh, you want me to do one for mine then?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll keep it in the D&D world for now. You said goblins. I really like hobgoblins. Um,
little hob on the hob in the front.
yeah, well, they're smarter, they're stronger. They're fun because they're more like military focused rather than just like random scavenger village raider type things, I guess.
Yeah.
They're intelligent. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I forgot to look it up, but I do believe they also work with a few other creatures. Actually, I think they work with the other creature in my D&D list
No.
as well. So I'll bring those up in a minute. But I don't know. There's just something about the hobgoblins I always really liked. I liked picking them more than say like an orc. I don't know. I think they're the same challenge rating, but like I always felt like orcs were so basic and boring. I don't know why. Uh, so I often go with hobgoblins instead if I'm DMing a game. And a common theme with monsters that I like to DM are monsters that can communicate with the players. So
Yeah.
hobgoblins can speak common. They also speak I can't remember. I think it's goblin. They might also speak orc. I don't recall. But they speak a common language that a common monster language that people often pick, and then they also speak common. And I really like monsters that the players can communicate with because it's a kind of a running theme in my games is that often I like to present opportunities for recruitment or friendship of some different enemy types because I think it kind of just makes the game more interesting if you can have like instead of this is my human friend and this is my elf friend and this is my dwarf friend. If you can have like I have a hobgoblin friend. Like I don't know. It's unique and fun that way, I think. And I don't like to subscribe to the whole like every hobgoblin is an evil asshole who never wants to like work with you.
Yeah.
Every every society has good and bad people, and I don't necessarily understand why Wizards of the Coast needs to make rules to change all this stuff. I don't know if you heard about that. Because I've been doing it the whole time without that. I mean, it's not difficult to improvise that shit, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a good, a good DM is going to be creative, in general. So you're not going to typically just follow whatever the rule book says. You're going to make your own spin on something usually. So
Right.
I remember my goblins one time. I was doing a game and the goblin was about to be killed or something, and he said, "I have a family" or something, and then they were like, "What? Oh shit!" And I've seen like uh I guess memes of that kind of thing since then, and I thought, oh well, I'm not the only person that thought that. But even the anime Goblin Slayer, there's a scene in the first episode where the main character goes into this thing and he kills a bunch of goblins, and then he finds like these children goblins kind of like sitting there, and they're like, and he just kills all the like children goblins like Anakin Skywalker style. So I was like, geez. But you don't, yeah, I guess you don't think sometimes monsters in games, they're just like something to be killed, but in actuality, they're doing their own thing also. They're not just walking around waiting to be killed. They're trying to live or integrate into the society or whatever the case may be.
Right, right. I think I don't know, it might be like the grimdark heritage that I have in terms of like heritage is the wrong word, but I meant background, where I really like, even the good people do bad things. But
Yeah.
I think that because always have thought that, I always think, well, not everyone is bad. That's part of a society, I guess. So there can be good ones. That might be kind of an evolution of the Forgotten Realms series by R.A. Salvatore that I read when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, not all like this one drow is good. So, I guess I've always had that in my head.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So my next one is probably predictable, but whatever. There's so many varieties of these things. You kind of have to mention it. I mean, it's in the title of the fucking game.
Really,
Uh,
Dragonsville?
yeah, but
Huh.
there's a reason. A lot of it's not so much. I think dragons are like super cool. Whatever is the case, it's more. It's more like when a dragon appears in a game, players are always like, "Oh shit, this is gonna
Okay,
be bad."
that's fair.
It's
I,
more it's more about the presentation of like, okay, a black dragon just flew overhead. You'd be like, what? It's more of that reaction, kind of like in Skyrim
yeah,
when a dragon flies overhead, you're like, ah, and the music starts playing.
that's true. I think you're right. When they show up in the game, it's a big moment every time. It's just a lot of people like dragons like a lot. And for me, at least in Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not talking about anywhere else, but in Dungeons and Dragons, I just feel like all the really cool dragons are so outside of where you normally get challenge rating wise that either they're going to be around forever as a unkillable antagonist, so I don't want to introduce them too early, or they're just something that shows up maybe once, but no one's going to be able to really kill or fight them too well unless you use like the smaller ones. But if you use the smaller ones, it almost lessens the impact I found when the
Yeah.
bigger one shows up because they're like, oh, we can fight this. It's like, no, you can't. But as the DM, you also can't really say that. Uh, so I like to try most of the time to use like the crazy big ones to like emphasize you cannot fight these. But I think there was one time I did play a game and part of the story was a little Aragon-esque, I guess,
Mm.
where they had this like I can't remember the size. It's like a tiny dragon. It might have been a small. It was like one of the youngest dragons. It was like this an equivalent to challenge rating as their like level or whatever. So they had like this pet thing that walked around and talked with them and fought with them. And so that was kind of fun.
Um, yeah, the reason Pig Dragon specifically is because I'm just thinking about like different encounters I had as a player and as a DM. And like the dragon encounters were always so insane compared to any other encounter. It's just like I fought me and my party fought a blue dragon not too long ago. And I think it was like ancient or something.
Oh
And
damn.
all of us were level, I want to say level 10 or 11, something like that. And these characters were pretty strong. And the dragon was just like, "Bing," chain lightning. It's like 80 damage to everybody. Jesus.
Right. Yeah. I ran this one game for my best friend in high school, and that was back when we were in high school. So we had unlimited time. It didn't feel like it back then, but now looking back, it's like, holy crap, there was so much free time. And we actually played this one player campaign that I was DMing. It was like my first real attempt at DMing, and we got his character up into like early 20s. It was crazy how much we played that game. But one of late game fight was he was riding on the back of a dragon. He was fighting someone else that was riding on the back of their dragon, like circling around in the air, and he was a monk, so he's very agile. So he like actually jumped onto the other dragon, and then they were fighting on top of it. It's a very crazy battle, I guess. But there was a lot of really cool, crazy battles in that campaign because of how high of a level he was.
Yeah, I think just the versatility of like different dragons, with they have like different breath weapons, and you could introduce them as like a big encounter for later if they got that high level, or just as like something that's not even, it's more of a plot device, like a dragon flew over and burned a village. And it's like, okay, we got to go to the village and like help the people. There's no way we're killing the dragon. So
Right.
um I've always been interested in like variations of dragons, not just the typical like D&D approach to dragons, but like, House of the Dragon, we talked about, those dragons all felt a little bit different, just their personalities and everything. And it's just, yeah, I think they can be, they're kind of sound like a boring choice, but if you really think about it, they are one of the more interesting uh choice, choices for like encounters anyway.
I think that they definitely wake up the players. If they're not
Yeah.
necessarily totally engaged, as soon as a dragon shows up, it's gonna be like, oh shit, because even if you're like me and you're not like super into dragons and D&D so much, when one shows up, I'm paying attention because I know that they could just, touch me and I'm dead.
Yeah. All right, let's go to your next one.
All right, my last D&D creature before I move into other systems is actually a bugbear.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
oh really? I'm a big fan of bugbears.
I almost
Uh,
I almost picked Bugbear because I had a really memorable Bugbear in one of my games that kind of like
nice.
kept appearing.
So I did mention that hobgoblins work with creatures. I think bugbears might be that creature. Uh, I might be wrong, but I think they usually work with one other creature. I think it's bugbear, and then I think they also have a pet of some sort that they often have, which again, struggling to remember because I haven't played D&D in several years now, so my memory is a little kind of gone on it. But I don't know. Bugbears just aesthetically, I always really liked. They're just cool. They're nasty for the like challenge rating that you encounter them at. They're just brutish type. I don't know. At level like 2 or 3, if you walk into a bugbear, you're not happy about it because they're just so much nastier than a lot of other monsters at their challenge rating. I feel like it just always seems that way. I did pick bugbears though because I've had some very memorable encounters with them, both as a player and a DM. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of them.
I had a Bugbear that appeared in one of my games, and for whatever reason, uh, it's like, players have this Bob the Goblin or kind of thing where there's just a character that it's like a stupid one-off like character that they just get attached to for whatever reason. And I had this Bugbear, his name was Eshkin or something like that. And for whatever reason, he had a yellow drape from someone's house that he wore like as a cloak or something. And for whatever reason, they were just like obsessed with they wanted to get that yellow drape off of they wanted to kill him and steal his yellow drape. And I just thought it was a very innocuous detail that I added, just like, oh, he had raided someone's house and snatched a drape off their wall or something. but for whatever reason, they were like really interested in this. It was just supposed to be like a one-off character, and then he ended up becoming kind of like a recurring bugbear that appeared with like different, you know, henchmen every time or whatever. Um, so that was funny. You chose bugbear.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of them. I really like to put them in the game. And again, I'm pretty sure they speak common as well, or maybe they just speak Goblin. I don't remember, but either way, it's a language that is often understood by at least one person in the party, and so I do enjoy those interactions.
Okay, well, my next pick is kind of stupid, but I just like it for some reason. I don't know if I've ever actually encountered one, but I've always thought just this concept was interesting. Gelatinous cube. So
Oh, you've never actually encountered one.
no.
I have fought them and I've used them, and let me tell you, they sound awful, but they're even worse. Like it's those things are brutal at lower levels.
I just find this idea of just this cube of like I don't even know what it is. Just going through a dungeon and just like melting shit. Um I guess it's kind of like the blob effect, like the movie The Blob, where the blob is um the horror movie where it's killing people. It's just like this
Yeah.
big amorphous mass of gelatin or something.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that kind of stuff for some reason.
they're rough. I hate fighting them.
I guess because they have like acidic abilities or something. Like they can melt your weapon, I guess. Like if you actually attack it, you probably have to have a magical weapon. Um,
Yeah, I don't remember the rules. It's been so long, but I do think they might do that. I
yeah,
don't
I,
I don't even remember if they're acidic.
I don't really have any detail about it. I just like it for some reason. And
Yeah, and they're invisible if they're not moving. And that's like I remember that. So you can like walk into one, which sucks.
yeah, there's a gelatinous cube character that's in the Dungeon Mayhem card game that I have. And the Mayhem game is like supposed to be like a filler kind of game. Um, but it kind of like makes it kind of cute. So I can play with the gelatinous cube and uh Dungeon Mayhem. His name's Blorp. 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 So that's fun. Okay, what's your next pick?
All right, well, my next pick is actually from a different game. It is from Fallout 2D20, which is, for people that don't know, an adaptation of the video game Fallout. Uh, and I picked Mr. Handy, which are like the floating robots that talk. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about,
Mr.
but
Handy.
yeah, the robots in general, really. But I selected Mr. Handy because they're in the video games. I don't know how much you know, but in the vaults, there's often a robot that's flying around. And that's a Mr. Handy. But they're really cool in the role-playing game because they have 3 arms and you can customize each arm so that it does something else. I just thought that was really fun. And honestly, the whole tabletop RPG set in the Fallout universe really clicked really well, and it's just really interesting. And particularly robots for some reason are all really cool in that game, I thought. And more people need to play Fallout 2D20. I personally think it's a great game.
Yeah, I like the video games, and a lot of the encounters you have in those games are cool also.
Yeah.
With robots.
Yes, there's a lot of really cool robotic stuff. And honestly, the way that loot works in like role playing game is really fun. Everything's really limited, so it's kind of a survival type game,
Yeah.
which is not the standard for a tabletop role playing game. So it's kind of interesting because you do have to eat and drink, I think. Or drinking might count for eating. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played it, but you have to like take care of yourself and you have to watch your radiation levels. So it's got some really cool components to it. I definitely recommend people check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're just gonna kind of speed through this list. uh I think my next pick is kind of a typical pick also, just because it's one of those high level monsters that's another oh shit if it shows up. And that's a beholder. Because if a
All of old, yeah.
beholder shows up, you're like, all right, well, somebody's dying. You don't know who, but someone is dying. And if more than one show up, that's even worse. Um, I think I've encountered one in some game, and I'm sure somebody got turned to stone or death raid or something. And it's just always a good way to like humble a party that's just like, man, we're kicking ass in this game. And then a beholder shows up, and you're like, all right, well, I guess I should go re-roll. Or I guess I should go roll a new character.
Beholders are crazy.
I just like the way they look too. They look like menacing looking. And they have all the different eye stalks and everything. So they have kind of a unique appearance, and they're like basically a big floating ball with
Honestly,
you
I
know
think that
shit coming out of it.
I honestly think that the beholder is like the signature Dungeons and Dragons monster, which is kind of ironic because it's called Dungeons and Dragons. But I have a funny story about a beholder, actually. So when I was in high school, it's when I first learned Dungeons and Dragons, which was version 3.5. And after a year or two of learning, I then kind of got into DMing a lot. And so I played with my brother at home a little bit and kind of taught him how to play, but he was 3.5 years younger than I am. So he was kind of just on that cusp of like, is he old enough to understand everything? The answer to that is probably not. Actually, I know it's not for him specifically. I mean, I'm sure that other kids that age could have picked it up, but I think he was just too distracted. But he was really also into it and he wanted to DM. And so I was trying to teach him to DM. And personally, I think the best way to teach someone how to DM is to just, have them DM after they kind of learn, you teach them the basics and then you correct them as they go. Perhaps this was a bad decision to make with him because he forgot to check a few things. And so I'm a level 1 character. I'm doing his first mission. And I'm going through this dungeon. I can't remember what I killed, but I got through this battle. I'm wounded. I'm hurt. I'm level 1. So, it just took a couple hits and I'm like almost dead. And I'm thinking as the player, I'm just gonna walk around the corner. There's gonna be like a treasure chest with some loot in it or something, and I'm gonna be good, and it's gonna be great. I walk around the corner, and my brother announces, "You walk into the room, and there's a beholder." And I'm the DM, so I know what that means. And I'm like, "Wait, what? I'm level 1. What are you doing?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I can't kill that." He's like, "Well, it's really injured." It's like, no, I can't kill a really injured beholder. Let's like, even if I had 1 health, do you know how unbalanced the amount of experience points is that I'm gonna get from that? And he's like, oh, Okay, we won't have that. It's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't. He forgot, he told me later that day, I guess he forgot to check the challenge rating of the monsters and he just picked it because it looked cool. Like, yeah, it does look cool, but fucking hell, destroy me.
What is a
So
beholder's challenge rating?
I don't remember, 16 maybe?
So it's 13. Jeez.
Was it 13?
Yeah, I just
Okay,
Googled
man, I just totally guessed.
it.
That's not too bad for a guess, right? I don't
Yeah.
ballpark kind of.
I didn't think it was that high.
Yeah, no, it's high.
Yeah, so those are, late game kind of way to it's like a dragon. If a dragon shows up or a beholder shows up, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I've
Well,
actually
nice knowing you
never,
guys. Somebody's dying.
right? I've never actually ran or fought a beholder aside from that story I just told. But I think personally that'd be even scarier than a dragon because dragon you can talk to. I don't think beholders have a language.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
if it is, it's like abyssal or something that no one knows. So really, and those things are just known to be like actual monsters. Like
Yeah.
you're not talking your way out of that.
They're not
A
like, oh,
dragon,
oh,
yeah, they're
okay,
like,
go ahead.
yeah, dragons are crafty. They're like, yeah, I'll let you go, but you're doing stuff for me. They have motivate like they have motivations and stuff. I don't think beholders have motivations really. I'm going based off memory again, so I don't know entirely if I'm speaking complete truths, but I do know that beholders are scarier.
Yeah, I mean, the effects they have are way way scarier. Like basically, death ray is what like you save against death or you're dead. I mean, that's basically
Yeah.
it. It disintegrate. You're disintegrated. Um, those are the two worst, I guess. Petrify. I forget all the effects it does, but they're all bad. It reminds me of the. This is kind of a sidetrack, but it reminds me of the Marlboro and Final Fantasy games. Um, anytime that shows up in your party is like not prepared, you're pretty much dead because it does like every status effect. It's like, all right, you're poisoned, petrified, blah 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 blah. Like,
What
gee,
monster was that?
Marlboro, the big
Was that the green thing?
it's the big thing with the um like
Oh,
huge
yep. Okay.
mouth,
Yep. I know that thing.
and it breeds like nasty shit, bad breath. I think its abilities called.
Yeah, these things are fucking annoying.
Yeah,
I had to look it up to see what because I don't remember the names of the monsters in Final Fantasy games usually. But yeah, that thing is in a lot of the games, and
yeah.
that thing is a pain in the dick.
It's always bad. All right, let's go to your next one.
Yeah, so I'm moving now to another system, which you've actually played, Starfinder.
Yes.
And uh I wanted to include Starfinder just to talk about Starfinder. So took out my Alien Archive book and started skimming through it, and a lot of the monsters in it weren't really speaking to me, but when we played, uh, us two, uh we didn't really play with too many of the monsters in it because most of the time we played, it was kind of established races that you were fighting against, like player character races that were like citizens or soldiers or whatever. But
Yeah.
uh, there was one that did stand out, and it was the Skittermander. Do you remember those? The
Yes.
little adorable six-armed furry uh simple monsters that I don't mean simple, I meant like easy to kill, I guess. They're pretty intelligent and awesome. And I don't know, I opened the page of that and I was like, oh my god, I forgot about those. They're so cool and awesome. So I wanted to include those as one of my monsters because I just think they were so fun to play with. And there were a couple in our game, I think. And uh actually I think one joined your party at one point, didn't they? It's been a
Yeah,
while.
I forget.
Remember, yeah.
His name gets longer every time he achieves
Yeah, that's
something.
a yeah, that's a Skittermander property, which is awesome. So they start out with like a one syllable name, and then every time they make like a super big achievement, they give themselves another syllable. And so the name just continues to grow over time, which is amazing design, I think. It's just so brilliant and it fits that character, like that race so well, I think, because they're like small, but they're tough little warriors. And I don't know. I just really thought they were fun. And also Starfinders is such a fun tabletop role playing game. Honestly, it might be my favorite I've ever played. Um, in terms of the world and how gear works. I just really loved the setting, and I really loved how gear worked. Having the items locked behind different levels made it so that every time you leveled up, you kind of unlocked new equipment that you could like use. And that's just, I think that's a really awesome way of continually like progressing. It's like your item shops kind of level up and give you access to more stuff.
Yeah, like Skittermander's, but basically looks like a Furby with multiple arms.
Yes, they have 6 arms and 2 legs, I think. And yeah, they do kind of, they're obviously there for the cute factor. And normally, I don't, I do often love like the cute, like little race or whatever in those games, but not as much as like the Skittermanders are just, I don't know what it is. There's something about them that I just love, and they're fun. I think part of it's the name growing. I think that's awesome, and I don't know. I just I think D&D has a lot of like cutesy stuff, but a lot of it I'm just like, and I don't know. Something
Okay.
about the Skittermanders, I guess.
All right. Well, my last one is a legendary monster in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, and it's one of those monsters that it's basically like if Godzilla appeared in your game. And it, from what I gather, you can't really even kill this thing unless you cast a wish spell on it.
Is this the Tarask?
Yeah, Tarask. Uh, I'm just fascinated by this character because, or this monster, because it's like it's the end all be all of monsters in D&D, essentially. Like you're dead. You're just dead if it shows up.
Yeah, even if you get like I mentioned that campaign with my high school friend where he got into like I think it was level 22. A Tarask's challenge rating is 30. So like even he was not fighting this thing, and it was kind of on the docket of like, okay, we're getting close to actually using a Tarask. I was pretty excited about it. And I was, obviously I was going to have him fight one if he got, several levels higher. But unfortunately, we did 2 full campaigns, I think. Like he actually beat 2 full campaigns, and we were planning on continuing, but then we went to college. And even though we went to college at the same college and dormed in the same room, or roomed in the same dorm, uh, dormed. Anyway,
One of those.
uh, right. Uh, even though we lived together, it was just, a new experience with meeting all these people. We didn't really have time to like role play, unfortunately. Uh, so the campaign died. But I really wanted to get to that point because who the hell ever gets that high?
Yeah, I think for me it's not necessarily a monster that you would ever probably encounter in any game. Um, But I remember one time I was talking to my friend about um oh, what's the strongest monster in D&D? He's like, Trask. And I'm like, really? I'm sure I could find something that could beat a Tarrasque. He's like, no, you can't. And I was like, well, let me find something. And then we sat down one night, and he had a Tarrasque, and I had a monster, and we fought against each other. And of course, he fucking brutalized me.
Right.
But I chose something from the Dark Sun campaign, which in Dark Sun is like a kind of post-apocalyptic desert planet kind of system, and a lot of the monsters are pretty weird in that. And there's one monster, it's like a unique monster called the Dragon of Tyr. It's basically like this huge epic level dragon that I think it's one of the only dragons in the whole world. So I was like, all right, I'm going to use this. This is like super high level kind of monster. And like, yeah, he's like, you can't kill me unless you could cast a wish spell. And I was like, oh, that's not fair.
Is that true? I don't even know.
I think so. I think after you kill it, you have to cast wish on it to actually like completely kill it.
Oh, okay. I mean, if that's true, that sucks. I really don't remember. I haven't looked at the Tarrasque in forever. Of course, the Tarrasque that I'm remembering is also from 3.5. I'm not even sure if there's one in 5th edition. I'm sure there is, right? There has to be.
Well, I don't know if the
But
the fifth edition one exists, but I'm not sure if you have to cast wish on it or not. I know in second edition there was some kind of thing where you have to actually cast wish on it to completely kill it.
yeah, they, monsters in the iterations and stuff change, of course, but that's crazy that it required that.
I could be remembering wrong, but that stood out to me for some reason. Like even if you actually kill it,
Oh, yep, the Tarrasque is in 5th edition.
yeah.
I don't see any mention of that, but 5th edition changed things a lot to kind of make it more. I wasn't gonna, not easier, but
Possible.
like, yeah. I mean, he's challenge level 30 in 5th edition, and he's immune to like a lot, so he would still be a real monster to fight. But yeah, I don't see any mention of the wish spell, but also I'm not surprised by that because they probably realized how impossible that was.
Maybe the idea is that the only way you could kill it is by casting a wish spell. uh oh yeah, here it says in previous editions, I found something on Google. Previous
Oh,
editions,
okay.
part of what made the Tarrasque so difficult was its ability to rise from the dead, even if disintegrated, unless the party used a wish spell to prevent its resurrection. To say nothing of a sadistic DM perverting said wish, depending on how the players phrased it. Could you imagine you kill a Tarrasque and your DM is so sadistic? He's like, "All right, you kill
Comes back.
you kill the Tarrasque. All right, it's going to come back to life unless you cast wish." And then you're like, "I wish the Tarrasque wouldn't come back to life." And then like, okay, it's undead, undead Tarrasque. Ah, oh shit! But yeah, that's my final pick, just because of how uh insane it is.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I I can't with the Tarrasque. It's just too powerful. I just can't honestly understand how you could get that high. I mean, I guess if you started a campaign at high level, but I guess I should have prefaced this whole like discussion with I've never started or DM'd or played any game where I didn't start at level 1. So I know that there are games out there where you can start at like level 20 or whatever. Personally, for me, I hate that. Um, as a player, I feel like I'm not crafting my character, I guess, It just feels like I'm cheating. I don't mean to suggest that people are cheating that start there. I feel like I'd be missing all this background. I don't know.
Yeah,
And then
I would
for
prefer to start at
DMing,
level 1 also. Yeah.
yeah, for DMing, I usually DM for people who, for the most part, are either not very knowledgeable about the game to begin with, or are very experienced and have the same like feeling that I do about starting at level 1. So the people that would want to start at like level 20 wouldn't probably understand level 20 because you have to like get 10 abilities and fill up to like level 9 spells and stuff. It would just be like overwhelming information, I think.
Yeah.
So
I,
I just don't like it.
well, I was recently in a game where I had to start at level 10, I think. And for me, it was cool in a lot of ways because I started out pretty strong. But I was also playing, originally I was playing a cleric, and then later I was playing a druid. And those are both pretty complex to play at a higher level. And if you haven't built up to that, it can be a bit overwhelming. So I think with like a fighter at level 10, you could be like, oh, I have this and this, blah, 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 whatever. But if you're kind of just thrown into like, all right, you have a level 10 druid, figure out your abilities. It's kind of like,
Yeah,
there's so much,
I
you know.
yeah, I agree. If you could easily play a level like 20 fighter or whatever, and it would not be a problem. But anything that has magic, it would be like really difficult to just jump in and like know everything.
Yeah,
Even
level.
as an experienced player, like I consider myself very experienced. I would never want to start like a level 20 wizard. I just think that would be madness.
Yeah, like level 1 as a spellcaster, you kind of develop your your signature spells over time, I guess. So like you start out level 1, you know, magic missile. Level 2, you have like, oh, okay, I got a few more. Um, so you kind of build up a repertoire. Whereas if you're just thrust into like level 20, you've just, it's like, here's 200 fucking spells you can cast. Figure it out. It's like, yeah, it's a bit too crazy.
Yeah, I
All
wouldn't
right,
want to do that.
what's your last pick?
My last pick is kind of a cheat because it's not an actual monster, but it
Mm,
is. So it's also in Starfinder, and it is not an actual monster. It is the create your own monster template that they have in the back of Starfinder's Alien Archive. So you can make literally anything you want. If you want to make a creature of your own, you could draw one up and you could make it. If you wanted to take an established monster that's already in Starfinder and make it unique somehow, you can also use this. So maybe we were talking about Skittermanders earlier. Maybe I want to make like a boss Skittermander, and maybe he's been infected with some sort of like something poison or some I don't know biolab thing that's like mutated him. Then I can make this like super overpowered Skittermander who is a much more powerful like type. And it's awesome because it has this like I think there's like 9 steps, and so it'll tell you to pick one of these like templates, and then you pick that template based on what type of character it's going to be. So if it's like a fighting type thing, then you go there. If it's like a shooting type, like it uses guns, then it goes here. And if it has magic or psionic abilities or whatever, then you go here. And
mm.
then you kind of fill it out based on that template, and you can scale it based on whatever challenge rating you want. And then the book has rules for like all these different abilities. So like if you wanted to give it a flamethrower, maybe the Skittermander can breathe like fire. I don't know. It doesn't actually give you the ability of breathe fire. It says if you want a ranged attack. So let's say flamethrower, it can go, you want a ranged one. It'll give you, based on the challenge range, or based on the challenge rating that you're creating, it'll give you the range of the attack. So it'll be like, maybe you're making a challenge rating 3 creature. I don't know. He'll say, well, challenge rating 3 creature will have a ranged attack, and the ranged attack will be a line of 20 feet or whatever it says. And then that kind of scales with the challenge rating. So it's really cool because you can kind of make whatever you want through that. And actually, in the game that you and I played, I did that pretty regularly with different monsters here and there. And it was really fun because you can kind of make your own aliens, and I did that, and it was really fun. And I mean, you didn't know the Starfinder universe already, so it wasn't really a surprise, I guess, when you encountered something that wasn't in Starfinder, because you didn't really know that. But it was like fun for me to make something to fit the situation. Like, I don't remember exactly what I made, but there was this monster that was like a pest that like infested ships and would breed on the ships and then like come out, and they were basically like fire breathing centipedes, I think. I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly what they were, but that was something I created for the game, and that was just really fun.
Yeah, they were the small ones, and then sometimes you'd be like, oh, here's a big one. You're like, ah,
Yeah,
shit.
so yeah, I made 2 different ones on there, and there was, the smaller ones and then the bigger ones that like the adult version, I guess. Uh, but yeah, it was really fun to do that.
Yeah, it's cool to like be able to make new stuff, or at least uh be able to tinker with existing creatures to kind of like modify them to, especially like Starfinder, where you do have like biolabs and crap like that. So it would be able to, create pretty much anything really, or any kind of alien creature you could make, because there's so many different planets. So
Yeah, the one thing I really never liked about D&D was I'd come up with this idea for like a monster, and they were called shrieks. I looked it up. These are the
oh
centipede
yeah, yeah.
that I had to go in the game and check it out. Anyway, in D&D, I always wanted to create my own stuff, and it's so hard in D&D. Like, there's not a creature builder. It's basically kind of compare what you want to do with an established monster and don't change the numbers too much, and you'll have a equivalent challenge rating, basically.
Mm.
Um, so I did tinker with that a little bit in Dungeons and Dragons, and I think 5th edition made it a little bit easier, but it's not like there's an actual character, like monster creation thing like there is in Starfinder. And I don't know, it just really adds a lot to it, because I think with Dungeons and Dragons, things get really stale once you've played it a while,
Mm.
because like, once you know the monster manual, um, then you're not really that afraid when you see anything. Now, I do know a DM, and I used to try and do this a little bit too, who would level up these like boss NPCs. So like if you were fighting a tribe of goblins or something, the last goblin might have a made up special ability, more health, and like the challenge rating would be higher. And so that kind of adds to it or whatever. But otherwise, it's really hard to really make a lot of your own content in Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, speaking of making our own content, it's time to fight.
It's
In
time
the
to fight.
This is our content at the end of every episode. So this week in the rough characters arena, We are having the Captain Reiner take on a succubus.
Oh,
The
lovely.
the nasty demonic looking lady creature that can
What is
charm you.
oh, let's hope that doesn't happen. What challenge rating is that?
It's a 4.
Oh, okay. I actually have a good chance that you went easy on me today, Phil.
You're level 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just went one level up because I think last time I massacred you like in one round. So
Yes.
challenge
Yes, there's
rating
been
4.
quite a few one round battles lately.
Yeah, I can't remember what you fought last time, but it killed you in
It
one
was a
round, I think.
troll. Yeah.
Oh, the troll.
Yeah, it was a troll.
All right, well, let's get into it. Roll initiative and see what we get here.
All right. I got a 15. Oh,
Oh, you're not
it's
going
not a good
first.
start.
Oh, you're not going first. All right. I got a natural 20, so I go first. Let's see. How many attacks does the succubus have? Melee attack. I can charm somebody within 30 feet. I can charm you and suck out your do 32 psychic damage on a fail save. Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, let's just do a claw attack first. I think this is just one attack, I guess.
Wow. We're not used to that with the high challenge ratings we've been going. I have an armor of 16, by the way.
All right, well, shit the bed there, so no hit.
I think that I also just missed. I got an 11 with my greatsword attack.
You need a 15.
All right. Well,
All right, that's round
that's
one.
a miss. Hey, we've made it past round 1.
All right. All right, I'm gonna do another round of the claw.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. And a 2 again. I roll 2 2s in a row.
Oh man, that's karma for the natural 20, I guess. I
Yeah.
just rolled a 5, so I guess we're hacking at air here.
Whiff, whiff. All right.
All right, that's 2 rounds survived.
This might be the shittiest battle we've had. Just whiff, whiff, whiff. All right, you win.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. I'm gonna go for the draining kiss.
Oh no.
The fiend kisses a creature charmed by it or a willing creature. Uh, so it looks
Oh,
like
I guess you gotta charm me
I have to
first, huh?
charm you first. All right, so you have to survive a DC 15 saving throw or be magically charmed for 1 day.
Oh boy, what's the ability saving throw that I have to do? Is that wisdom?
Yeah, wisdom.
Nope.
Failed that. All right, you're now charmed.
I've been charmed.
So
Wait,
that's another round you survived.
that's true. I don't think I can do anything on my turn, but do I get a saving throw on my turn? Let's look up charmed.
It says
Nope.
you're charmed for 1 day.
All right. I'm wondering if you attack me,
So if I do
if
the
I
if I
if
do
does
the
the charm go away?
if I do the draining kiss, you take a bunch of damage. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, it just says I can only charm one person at a time, so I can basically charm you for a day. That's all it says. So I'm gonna do the draining kiss. So make a DC 15 Constitution.
Oh no, not Constitution. Yeah. All right, I feel bad.
All
Rolled a
right,
2.
you take 5d10 plus 5 psychic damage.
All right, if I get really lucky here, I will survive, but I don't think I'm going to. I have
5
17 health.
5d10 plus something.
Was it 5? Well, doesn't matter. I died.
I
So what was
drew,
that? 3 rounds I survived?
Uh, let's see. Melee, charm. No, 4 actually.
4 rounds I survived. Oh, okay. So I got the round robin of rewards.
Yeah.
I got a level up. I got a mundane item and a magic item. So let's see what my mundane item was. That was challenge rating 4, right?
Yeah.
A flask of ale. Okay.
You'll need that for your withered corpse, since I just
Yeah.
drained all your blood out of your body.
Okay. Flask of ale. Let's see what my magic item is.
It's always
Let's
something
see.
shitty.
Yeah.
Scroll of frost protection or something.
Uh, actually, I get a roll on magic table B, so there's a potential for something cool.
Mm.
That could be fun. Let's roll it. Yeah, well, what a whiff there. Got a potion of fire breath.
Ooh,
I guess that's okay.
you could
There's so
use it.
many better things that you could get.
Could use it probably.
Probably, I can't even remember what it does. I don't think it's that good though. All right, let's record that. That was 4 rounds survived with the succubus. Awesome.
And you're now level 4.
I am at now level 4. Yes.
Nice. All right. Well, that was better than the last few encounters we've had. I think I got killed in 1 round last time. Fighting the Cyclops. I think it just like clubbed me in the head and killed me.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
that battle did not go so well for you.
All right. Well, that concludes another episode of Rough Characters Podcast. If you're interested in monsters, please let us know. We'd like to hear your picks. And as always, if you're interested in grimdark fantasy, check out John's book, The Trials of Ashmount. You can pick it up online at Amazon or some other booksellers. And as usual, you can go to negative-hp.com and check out some other content related to what I'm doing. And if you like the podcast, let us know. We'd like to hear feedback. Until next time, watch out for gelatinous cubes in your hallway. Goodbye.
Goodbye.